actor Gene Hackman's life coming to a shocking end inside his New Mexico home. Hackman and his wife found dead by maintenance workers, and the circumstances around their death is now being called suspicious. Police say Hackman and his wife could have been dead for weeks. Let's bring in Joseph Scott Morgan, former forensic death investigator. Please do share with us your thoughts as you've been able to give some time to what we know so far.
Well, as you guys mentioned, one of the problems is that this information is coming out is rather convoluted at this point in time. Not to mention, it's Thursday. They were discovered on Wednesday, and we're now just kind of figuring things out and hearing these bits of information that are coming out. The most important thing, I believe, at this point in time is to see what the state medical examiner has to say. We've heard about pills being scattered about, and pills being ingested are completely different. I'm kind of interested in the space heater that has been tipped over. And with the medical examiner's help, one of the things that will take place is that they will conduct a test that's referred to as a carboxyhemoglobin level, and not just on Mr. Hackman and his wife, but also, I would imagine, somebody involved in veterinary medicine will also attend to this dog as well to see if there is any carbon monoxide in their system, regardless of what the fire department says about what was there or what wasn't there. Now, my understanding is, per your last guess that you had, there was maybe evidence of forced entry. Now, that's troubling. We don't know what the source of that was. Was it EMTs or the police trying to get access? Because, it was the finder was actually somebody that peered through the window. Did they not have access to that? So when you get into the house, you want to know, is there any sign at all of any kind of struggle that took place there? And of course, observations of the body. But, as we know, one of the things that's been saying, as ghastly as it is that they're talking about signs of decomposition, and not just decomposition, but mummification, which takes a bit longer than standard decomposition.
All right, to your point there, just reading through the affidavit here, one of the deputies was named Thomas. Deputy Thomas indicated he did not observe any indication the residence had been rummaged through or items were taken from inside the residence. He advised, based on his training and experience, that nothing appeared to be out of place while clearing the residence. That would seem to eliminate any possibility of a struggle.
Yeah, of a struggle. But, Mr. Hackman, of course, was up in age. He's infirmed. It would not take much to traumatize him. So you have to examine the bodies very, very thoroughly just to make sure that they don't have any trauma, because just because there's no rummaging that goes on doesn't mean that they have not been traumatized. And the way they're saying, they keep throwing out this term, guys, about suspicion and these sorts of things. Anytime you use that term, everybody's antennae go up at that point in time. And you have to be very thorough, very painstaking in this case. They'll do full body x-rays. They'll do exhaustive external examinations before they ever do a full autopsy. And just know this: the state medical examiner's office in New Mexico is superlative. They're a shining example in my field of medical legal death investigation. They have been for years. So I'm glad that their remains are now with them, and we can really get to the heart of this and find out what was going on.
I suppose, obviously time will tell. The deaths of these two individuals could have happened at completely separate times, not necessarily at the same time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons that it's really important that you take note at the scene when you have two, and we have to state again with this canine that's found as well, the measurement of what we refer to as postmortem interval. That is the moment since death, and we conduct certain measurements at the scene. It's important that they're done at the scene. But when you start to get off into this area of advancement in decomposition, and again, they're using this term mummification, we have to keep in mind as well that Santa Fe is a very arid environment. So that promotes mummification. And not to mention, we're coming out of the winter months, which is particularly dry, even more so than most of the time. So it's going to be rather complex. I beg people to be very patient with this before they jump to any conclusions, because you want all of the data to be in and you want to get this right. And that's what they're dealing with right now.
So again, you mentioned this, that despite the fact that there were no signs that there might have been carbon monoxide poisoning, you can't rule that out until you do the tests on the remains.
Correct.
But this idea
Yes.
that the affidavit says that they both appeared to have abruptly fallen. But carbon monoxide poisoning, I don't believe, would cause that. You'd get tired, you'd probably lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah.
But if they died of something else, what would have killed the dog? I mean, this is puzzling.
Yeah, precisely, and that's the real head scratcher. The nature of the relationship that they had with this particular dog. If there's anything that's more sinister here, perhaps did they have a particular affection for this animal? I don't know, and nothing is off the table. You know, whether it be any of the 5 manners of death: homicide, suicide, accidental death, undetermined, or natural. Everything has to be considered. And that's why it's so very important to examine these, all of these remains very, very carefully. And if they did die suddenly and they both collapse simultaneously, which is kind of interesting statement that they're making there, there has to be a causative element. There is a huge age gap between Mr. Hackman and Mrs. Hackman. And so I don't know what her level of disease was, perhaps heart problems, anything like that. Was it a stroke? I can't imagine two people having simultaneous strokes. And then to boot, the dog passes away as well. That's why we have to be very, very careful moving forward with this case.
Yeah, and you have to start to ask yourself as well, if there was a time difference in death, was she the caregiver primarily to both of them? And if she had passed, leaving them without that care, that could be a different situation as well. We'll see when we get more details about all of this, but it is a mystery, that is for sure still. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.